The Galactic Council chamber gleamed under the pale light of distant stars. Hundreds of representatives from countless civilizations sat in silence, confident and proud. They had faced threats before. They had controlled borders. They had survived wars. And now they believed they understood humanity. "Humanity is weak," said Councillor Relis, voice calm and dismissive. "They are scattered, isolated, and technologically behind our fleets. Their outpost on the edge of known space is insignificant. Destroy it and the message will be clear. No species can defy the Council." A murmur of agreement filled the chamber. Other councillors nodded, convinced this action was harmless. "Perhaps a few warships to scare them," suggested another, but nothing more. "It will show we are in control." The decision was made. Orders were transmitted across space, fleets mobilized, weapons armed. No one questioned the wisdom. No one considered the consequences. In the void beyond Council space, the human outpost glimmered quietly. It was small, modest, and apparently defenseless. Sensors detected the incoming Council fleets, fast and armed with lethal intent. Inside the outpost, humans worked calmly, monitoring the readings. Captain Soren stared at the displays, eyes steady. "This is expected," he said. "No panic. Just prepare. They always underestimate us." Back in the Council chamber, celebrations had already begun. "By the time they realize we are attacking, it will be too late," Relis said smugly. Maps lit up with projected strike routes, interception zones, and assault schedules. The galaxy watched, confident that humanity would not respond in time, but deep space sensors picked up subtle anomalies near the human outpost. Small energy fluctuations, almost imperceptible, began to ripple across the void. The Council's fleet commanders noticed but dismissed them. "It's minor interference," said Admiral Keller. "Likely natural phenomena. Ignore it." Meanwhile, human ships began silent mobilization. They were not fast, not flashy, but precise. Every vessel moved into position quietly, undetected. They were patient. They were prepared. They had been waiting. Council fleets launched, descending on the human outpost with confidence. Energy beams charged, weapon systems activated, shields raised. The first strike was planned for maximum intimidation. No one expected resistance. Inside the human outpost, monitors lit up with incoming fleet movements. Captain Soren smiled faintly. "They think this is the end," he said to his crew. "But this is only the beginning." The Council fleets moved closer, unaware of the traps and strategies hidden in plain sight. Drones deployed silently, scanning and mapping every vessel, every weapon, every possible maneuver. Humans observed patiently, waiting for the right moment to act. Suddenly, the first warning came. A small Council cruiser, attempting to flank the outpost, experienced total systems failure. Engines stopped. Weapons offline. The ship drifted helplessly as alarms blared. Its crew panicked, unable to comprehend what had happened. "Minor interference," muttered Admiral Keller, but the calm human voice from the outpost confirmed it was no accident. They had prepared. They had anticipated every move. The Council continued, confident. The larger fleets moved into position. They laughed at the idea of resistance, mocking the human capacity to defend itself. "They will surrender once they see our strength," Relis said. "No species defies the Council and lives to tell the tale." But humanity did not surrender. Their patience was unmatched. Their intelligence was precise. And their fury, though silent, was approaching like a tidal wave. Small warning shots disabled communication satellites and minor outposts. The Council's plans began to unravel. Even as they continued to mock the humans, subtle disruptions spread across their fleets. Weapons misfired. Sensors failed. Navigation systems glitched. Confusion rippled from flagship to escort. Captain Soren gave calm orders. Hold position. Let them overextend. Let their arrogance guide them. Every human crew member worked silently, efficiently. No panic, no haste. Only calculated preparation. The Galactic Council remained unaware. They believed they were in control. They believed humanity would not respond. They were wrong. By the time the first human strike was ready to launch, Council fleets were already vulnerable. The weak and defenseless humans had anticipated every strategy, every attack, and every mistake. The outpost, small as it seemed, had become the center of a storm the Council could not predict. Captain Soren's voice echoed in the quiet bridge. Let them come. Let them think they are winning. They will learn, but not by words. By action. In the Council chamber, celebration turned slowly to confusion. Sensors reported anomalies. Systems failed unexpectedly. Orders could not reach some units. The counselors looked at each other, panic creeping into their faces. It was the first sign of the fatal mistake they had made. They had underestimated humanity. They had assumed weakness. They had ignored history. And now, humanity's fury was ready to answer. The galaxy was about to witness the consequences. A species long underestimated would finally act. And the Council would learn a lesson it could not ignore. The Galactic Council believed their decision was final. They had attacked the human outpost on the edge of known space, confident in their power. Admirals and counselors alike laughed at the idea that humanity could respond in time. Pathetic, said Counselor Relis. They may have survived minor conflicts before, but this is over. Yet, in the darkness of space, humans were not idle. Captain Soren and his crew monitored every movement, every fleet, every weapon system the Council had deployed. They did not panic. They did not rush. They were patient, calculating, and ready. Sir, said Lieutenant Kira, pointing to the monitors, small energy pulses are disrupting their sensors. Some of their ships are already drifting off course. Soren nodded calmly. Let them continue. They are ignoring every warning. Their arrogance will guide them to their own mistakes. The Council fleets pressed forward, expecting minimal resistance. They underestimated the humans once again. Each strike, each maneuver, each deployment of Council forces was precisely observed by human scouts. The humans allowed the fleets to overextend, to expose their weaknesses. On board the Horizon, one of the Council's fastest cruisers, systems began failing. Communications flickered. Engines misfired. Shields weakened unexpectedly. The crew panicked, trying to regain control, but every attempt failed. The human outpost had anticipated every move, every contingency, every error. Counselor Relis, confident and dismissive, ordered another wave of strikes. Finish this quickly, he said. They will surrender when they see our strength. But the humans did not surrender. They were not interested in negotiation. They were preparing a response that would teach the galaxy a lesson. Captain, their fleet is moving into a choke point, Lieutenant Kirov reported. Soren's eyes narrowed. Good, let them. That is exactly where we want them. Drones and sensor arrays deployed silently, invisible to the enemy. They marked weak points, mapped escape routes, and monitored every Council ship. Back in the Council chamber, Relis noticed reports of anomalies. Some ships had vanished. Others had systems offline. Minor interference, he said, forcing confidence. But his voice lacked conviction. He could feel the first cracks forming in his plan. Alien diplomats attempted to intervene. Perhaps a ceasefire? They suggested. Humanity is responding. Let us negotiate. The counselors ignored them. Pride and arrogance blinded them. Meanwhile, small human craft and hidden drones moved with precision. Council ships that had expected easy victories now faced confusion and disruption. Minor systems failed first: navigation, communications, weapons targeting. Then larger systems faltered. By the time the Council realized the extent of the interference, humans had already set the stage for their next move. Soren spoke quietly to his crew. They ignored the warning. They mocked our patience. Now they will learn the cost of arrogance. The Council fleets grew restless. Attempts at communication failed. Orders became contradictory as panic spread. They had assumed humanity was weak. They had assumed humanity would not respond. They had assumed that their pride was safe, but every assumption was wrong. Humanity's patience was not weakness. Their silence was not fear. Their calm observation was preparation. The galaxy watched, unaware that the small outpost had become the center of an unstoppable response. Every move by the Council fleets was tracked, anticipated, and countered. The first warning had been ignored. And now, humanity was ready to answer with full force. Valen, observing from the bridge of a nearby Council ship, muttered to himself, "They ignored the warning. And they are about to regret it. This is not just a strike. This is a lesson. And the galaxy will pay attention." The stage was set. The Council had made one fatal mistake, underestimating humanity. And the galaxy would soon see the fury that comes when a patient, calculating species is provoked. The silence of deep space shattered with the sudden appearance of human warships. Fleet after fleet emerged from hidden jump points, sleek, powerful, and faster than anything the Galactic Council had expected. Their weapons glimmered with precision energy. Shields shimmered stronger than predicted, and every captain aboard these vessels moved with perfect coordination. No negotiation, no warning, just action. Captain Soren led the vanguard. The humans had calculated every Council movement in advance, predicting their strikes and their errors. "Target the forward assault fleet," he ordered calmly. "Disable engines first, then weapons. Precision is key." Council fleets scrambled, issuing commands frantically. Admiral Keller barked orders to reposition, but every move had been anticipated. Missiles detonated harmlessly against phased human shields. Energy pulses from human ships struck before their opponents could even react. The fury of humanity was precise, calculated, and devastating. On board the Council flagship, chaos spread. Communications overlapped, shields fluctuated, and navigation systems failed intermittently. Every attempted countermeasure by the Council was countered before it could take effect. Panic spread among their ranks. They had believed humanity was weak. They had been wrong. Small human strike ships darted around larger Council cruisers, planting disabling devices and targeting critical systems. Even the fastest Council vessels could not escape. Ships drifted powerless, energy depleted, weapons offline, while humans maintained a calm and steady offensive. Every movement was coordinated, every strike purposeful. Captain Soren observed the battlefield through multiple displays. "They believe their numbers will save them," he said quietly. "Let them learn. Let arrogance guide their mistakes." Humanity's approach was not reckless. It was methodical, ensuring maximum effect with minimum wasted energy. The Council attempted diplomacy mid-battle. Messages flooded human channels. Pleas for ceasefire, promises of surrender, threats of retaliation. All were ignored. Humanity's patience had ended. The attack on their outpost had triggered a response that would be remembered for generations. Counselor Relas watched the screens, his confidence collapsing. The fleets he commanded were being dismantled, not by speed or firepower, but by intelligence, anticipation, and perfect strategy. "What is happening?" He demanded. Every move we make is anticipated. Every advantage we hold is neutralized. How? Meanwhile, human drones continued to deploy unseen, slipping past sensors, disabling weapon systems, and planting tracking beacons. Council ships attempted to retreat, but human ships moved to cut off escape routes, guiding the enemy into positions where their own arrogance became their undoing. Across the galaxy, commanders observed in disbelief. The outpost they had dismissed as weak had become the center of humanity's unstoppable counterstrike. The so-called defenseless humans had turned patience, intelligence, and strategy into a force stronger than any weapon the Council had deployed. Captain Soren ordered another strike on a Council battleship attempting to hyperjump. Drones intercepted its jump coordinates, and the vessel was stranded in open space, engines dead, shields failing. The crew of the ship stared in disbelief as their fate became clear. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The human fleet moved with quiet efficiency. No one shouted. No one panicked. Every attack, every maneuver, every strike was measured. The Council's arrogance had blinded them to the threat, and now their mistake was fatal. By the end of the engagement, several Council fleets were crippled. Ships were destroyed or disabled, their crews in shock and fear. The human warships, though fewer in number, had proven that preparation, intelligence, and patience could overcome size, speed, and numbers. Captain Soren's voice was calm as he addressed his crew. Humanity has answered the attack. They now understand what happens when they provoke us. The message has been delivered. Across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The Council had made one fatal mistake. Humanity had struck back with fury and precision. And the galaxy would never forget the day the humans proved that their patience was not weakness, their silence not fear, and their calm not submission. The first strike of humanity's fury had begun, and the consequences would echo across every star system for years to come. The Galactic Council had never faced a crisis like this. Ships that once operated with precision now drifted helplessly, systems failing one by one. Council leaders shouted orders, but the commands overlapped, conflicted, and often failed to reach their destinations. Panic spread through the chamber like wildfire. Captain Soren's human fleet moved deliberately, striking only when necessary. They did not waste energy. They did not overcommit. Every move was calculated, every strike measured. The Council's arrogance had led them into traps invisible to their sensors and unnoticed, until it was too late. Admiral Keller tried to regroup. Focus fire. Concentrate on their flagship. But the humans anticipated it. Drones diverted incoming attacks, shields absorbed energy pulses, and countermeasures disabled weapon systems. Even the largest, fastest Council vessels were crippled before they could mount a proper response. In the Council chamber, chaos reigned. Representatives shouted, accusations flew, and fear replaced confidence. Pull back. Pull back. Some cried. Others demanded surrender. But it was too late. Across key Council planets, human warships had already deployed tactical strikes. Communications arrays went silent, orbital defenses were neutralized, and fleets attempting to respond were systematically disabled. The galaxy watched in horror as humanity's fury became real. Captain Soren observed the chaos calmly. Do not celebrate. This is not over yet. We are enforcing a lesson, not seeking destruction. Let them see the consequences of arrogance and underestimation. Councillor Relas, now pale and trembling, realized the truth. The humans they had dismissed, mocked, and attacked were not only strong, they were unstoppable in strategy. Patience, intelligence, and precision had turned the tide. The Council's pride had blinded them to the threat, and now their authority was collapsing. Fleets that had been central to Council control were stranded, disabled, or retreating in confusion. Every attempt to reorganize failed as the humans moved faster in thought than their enemies could in action. Even their most advanced weapons were neutralized before they could fire. Panic spread to distant council sectors. Messages of surrender, negotiation, and pleading poured in. Humans ignored them all. The lesson had to be clear, and humanity would not compromise. The galaxy finally understood a simple truth. The Council had made one fatal mistake. They had assumed that humanity was weak, that patience was fear, and that silence was submission. They had been wrong. Every system they controlled, every fleet they commanded, had been tested and found lacking. Captain Soren gave one final order. Hold your positions. Let them realize their failure. No unnecessary destruction. Let them feel the weight of their mistake. The human fleet moved silently but with undeniable authority. The Council's reputation shattered, their fleets crippled, their command in chaos. Civilizations across the galaxy trembled as news spread. Humanity's wrath had been precise, controlled, and unavoidable. Valen, observing from a crippled council vessel, whispered, "They underestimated them." "We all did. And now we pay the price." The humans did not celebrate. They had enforced their warning with surgical precision, leaving no doubt. The galaxy had provoked a patient, intelligent, and strategic species. The consequences would be remembered for generations, and as the human warships moved through the Council's space, calm and unhurried, one thing became clear. The era of underestimating humanity was over. The fury had been delivered. The Council had learned painfully what it meant to provoke a species that never forgave, never forgot, and always prepared. The chaos was over, but silence fell across the Council's territories. Fleets were crippled, orbital defenses disabled, and key planets under observation by human warships. The Galactic Council had survived, but their authority was shattered. They had learned far too late the cost of arrogance. Captain Soren watched the stars from the bridge of his flagship. No celebration, no unnecessary destruction. Humanity's goal had never been wanton revenge. It had been simple, to enforce a lesson, to show that provocation came with consequences. Across the galaxy, civilizations trembled. Reports of the human fleet's precision, patience, and strategic mastery spread quickly. Ships that had once mocked humanity's patience now approached cautiously, studying every movement. The lesson was clear. Underestimate humans at your own peril. Counselor Relas sat in silence, staring at the holoscreen of damaged fleets. He remembered his earlier confidence, his dismissive laughter. It had all been for nothing. Humanity is not weak, he whispered. They are not careless. They are unstoppable in patience, relentless in strategy, and precise in execution. The humans had demonstrated something the galaxy had never fully appreciated. True power did not lie in speed or numbers alone. It lay in intelligence, foresight, and the unwavering will to act when provoked. Captain Soren gave calm orders to his crew. Survey the area. Ensure no hidden threats remain. We leave a clear warning. They will not forget this. Across Council space, surviving fleets attempted repairs, but the fear of humanity lingered. Even the fastest, most advanced ships hesitated to approach, wary of traps, tactics, and patient strategy. The Council's fatal mistake had become a legend almost overnight. Humanity's response had been precise, deliberate, and measured. It had inflicted enough damage to ensure compliance, but had done so without unnecessary destruction. The message was simple: provoke humanity and face consequences far beyond what you imagine. Valen, from a surviving Council ship, recorded a report.